In Fallout 4, the largest city in the game is called Diamond City. That's always made sense to me. The city is built out of the ruins of an old baseball stadium, and the baseball fields are diamond-shaped, so that name doesn't bug me. What bugs me is the nickname, the Great Green Jewel. How did it get that nickname? Diamonds are white, not green. Maybe you could say it's named after the grass that is usually present on baseball fields, except that I've never seen even a single blade of grass anywhere in Diamond City. Well, a long time ago, shortly after Fallout 4 was released, I started watching a Let's Play of Fallout 4 that seems to have since been taken down by a Let's Player named Josh Jepson. When he was following the Freedom Trail to try and find the railroad, he started singing, "Follow the red brick road, follow the red brick road, follow, 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 follow the red brick road." That's when it hit me. Diamond City is basically Emerald City from The Wizard of Oz. After all, when Dorothy is following the yellow brick road to go to Emerald City, we see that there is another road made of red brick that would have taken her in the opposite direction, just as the Freedom Trail takes you in the opposite direction to Diamond City. That alone would have been an interesting Easter egg, but I didn't make a video about it because it wasn't enough material to cover an entire video. However, the more I think about it, the more I realize that the similarities between Fallout 4's main quest line and the Wizard of Oz's plot are way too heavy and frequent for it to be coincidence. In fact, side quests excluded, the first half of the main quest, that is, everything before you infiltrate the Institute for the first time, almost seems to copy the Wizard of Oz point for point, just with a post-apocalyptic motif to it, in much the same way that The Lion King is essentially Hamlet with an African animals motif. Let's think about it for a minute. In both stories, you enter this Jewel City in the hopes of finding assistance to reunite with your family in one capacity or another. Dorothy is looking for her assistance in returning to her aunt and uncle. The sole survivor is looking to reunite with his son. Both times, you're directed to go to this city by a woman with supernatural powers, the Witch of the North and Mama Murphy respectively, neither of which actually use their superpowers to determine that you'll find help in that city.
And even I don't need the sight to tell you where you should start looking. The great green jewel of the Commonwealth, Diamond City.
The only person who might know would be the great and wonderful Wizard of Oz himself.
In both instances, the protagonist has some temporary difficulty convincing the gate guard to let them into the city.
I got orders not to let you in. I'm sorry. I'm just doing my job.
But nobody can see the Great Oz. Don't! You're wasting my time!
Both cities are run by a humbug. In the 1930s, a humbug was basically a person who pretends to be someone they aren't. Emerald City is run by a powerless mortal man who pretends to be a wizard. Diamond City is run by a synth who pretends to be human. On your way to Diamond City, unless you take some major detours out of pure metagaming, you're necessarily going to come across 4 NPCs who can become your companions. Strong and Dance don't count since it's totally optional if you even interact with them at all. Instead, the 4 companions that you initially meet on your journey to Diamond City are Codsworth, Dogmeat, Preston Garvey, and finally Piper Wright. Codsworth is the lion. He isn't cowardly in the sense that he runs from danger. After all, he will fight alongside you without blinking. But he is cowardly in the sense that he never strays too far from the home unless you're with him. The farthest he's strayed is conquered before he runs back home with his tail between his legs because people are beating him with sticks. He's not as much of a coward as the Cowardly Lion, but he's the closest the game gets to a coward. Preston is the Tin Man. He's altruistic, he has a heart of gold. A heart. The Tin Man was a lumberjack by trade. He likes to build stuff, and Preston likes to build settlements. Piper is the Scarecrow. She knows how to read between the lines on political scandals and knows how to get to the bottom of things. This makes her the brains of the outfit. And if I even have to tell you who Dogmeat's Wizard of Oz analog is, please go shoot yourself in the mouth. But what about the Wicked Witch of the West? Well, considering that you can choose to join the Institute, they only potentially serve as the bad guys. In the second half of the main quest, it's up to the player to determine who the bad guys are. But in the first half of the main quest, there is one character who is unquestionably the bad guy, Conrad Kellogg. And where do you end up killing him? On the west side of the game map. And what about finding where he is? In Fallout 4, Dogmeat leads the player character to Fort Hagen, and in The Wizard of Oz, it is Toto who leads the Scarecrow, Tin Man, and Lion to the witch's castle.
Why, don't you see? He's come to take us to Dorothy.
Then there's the cities themselves. In the novel by Frank L. Baum, it was made explicit that Emerald City is actually located in the geographic center of the Land of Oz. Diamond City, similarly, is located in the geographic center of the Commonwealth, provided that you include the vast radioactive Atlantic Ocean and the glowing sea as being part of the Commonwealth's borders. But aren't we forgetting something? What about the railroad? After all, that was the connection that initially sparked this theory about the first half of Fallout 4's main quest being a retelling of The Wizard of Oz, right? So where does the railroad fit into this analogy? To answer that question, we must abandon the movie and turn to the novel. See, one of the most common complaints about the movie is that Glinda could have told Dorothy about the Ruby Slipper's powers immediately and gave the poorest of excuses for not doing so.
Then why didn't you tell her before?
Because she wouldn't have believed me.
However, this actually makes perfect sense in the book. In the book, the otherwise unnamed Good Witch of the North, who is allied with the Munchkins and is the one who recommends Dorothy seek the wizard's assistance, is actually a completely different character from Glinda, the Good Witch of the South. The latter doesn't make an appearance until the very end of the book, and when she does meet the protagonists, she wastes no time telling Dorothy about the shoe's powers. So, Glinda gives Dorothy the means to teleport back to her family. And what contribution does the railroad make to the first half of Fallout 4's main quest? They give you the means to teleport into the Institute, aka the means to teleport to where the sole survivor's family is. Now, whether you use the railroad to actually build the teleporter or not is up to you, but they definitely provide the means to teleport whenever they decode the Courser chip for you. And finally, there's the Red Brick Road. Well, according to Frank L. Baum's map of the Land of Oz, Quadling Country, the southern quadrant of Oz that Glinda rules over, is colored red. See, in the novel, the inhabitants of that land all dress in red, the houses and picket fences are all painted red. Every quadrant of Oz has a color motif to it. Emerald City is obviously green, but Quadling County's color motif is red. And that's the same color you follow in Fallout 4 to find the railroad. By sending you away from Diamond City, you are being sent to meet Glinda the Witch of the South, who provides you the means to reunite with your family. But that's just a fan theory of mine. What do you guys think? So, if you liked this fan theory, be sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Also, be sure to subscribe for more in-depth analysis of your favorite video games. And with that, I bid you all adieu. Ace Sir Thorn out. Peace!